Today is day 20 of the Karen Read trial. I'm going to give you my daily recap. And yes, it's 8 p.m. I'm in my full pajama set. We start off the day with the same forensic scientist, Ashley Valier, on the stand, and she is the woman who is going over the plastic pieces, apparent plastic pieces, that we heard about all day yesterday. I'm not gonna lie, today was painfully boring, but we learned that all of the pieces end up being put together like so and like this. We get into the cross-examination by David Yannetti finally, and everybody starts to wake up because he has a lot more life in his voice. David Yannetti wants to talk about item 7-18.18. So as you can imagine, the names of going over these pieces were just painful. This is the debris from the orange and the gray shirt, and for the record, we are clarified that she never received the orange and the gray shirt, she just received the debris. Before these items come into the lab, she's not aware of the chain of custody, but the items were delivered by Michael Proctor, and it's kind of painful to get that answer out of her. She says it's a kind of an odd question to know who delivered the plastic, and then finally she looks at her notes and says that it was Michael Proctor, and this was on March 14th. We learned that item 7-8 contained a bag of 14 clear and red apparent pieces of plastic, and it was delivered by Officer DiCecchio, I believe. This was collected on February 3rd. Everything else from Michael Proctor comes on a different date. It says the date of collection is 2/8, but we actually learned that it was delivered to the lab on March 14th from Michael Proctor. Everything comes together and it's all assembled into one unit and it belongs to the taillight, but there is this one piece missing here where that white is showing. And I actually have a theory that this is the piece that actually hit John O'Keefe's car when she was leaving at 5:03 or whatever in the morning on January 29th, and she backs into John O'Keefe's car. We end up seeing that video footage later on in the day. But to this day, that piece has never been recovered. So that leads me to believe that this is what the accident actually was that happened to her car, and we just don't know how everything else was shattered. Of course, the Commonwealth is stating that it was shattered when it hit John O'Keefe, but is that really what happened? We don't know. The next witness for the Commonwealth is Christina Hanley. More painfully slow testimony. Again, snooze fest with Adam Lally doing the questioning. I have my notes here because this was extremely confusing. So there were 4 individual things that were delivered, like packages, to her in the lab, and she is the forensic scientist that actually studies the glass. The first thing that we have is 3-2, and it's a clear apparent drinking glass. The next one is 3-3, and it is a clear apparent glass, pieces recovered from the bumper. 7-12 was some plastic and clear glass together. 7-14 was clear apparent piece of glass recovered from the road at 34 Fairview. Once we get into the cross-examination, we learn that the pieces of the glass that were recovered from Karen Read's bumper actually are not a match for the drinking glass. And I'm gonna have you guys go to part 2 because next up is the Commonwealth's witness, Yuri Buchanan, and there is so much information, so I'm gonna put that in part 2.